At the time, were you aware your dad was getting threats?
I wasn't aware at the time, but when that information was disclosed and, you know, we dug into it, it became aware that, wow, okay, this was happening and they're not gonna do anything about it.
The absolute labor of public servants who are prosecutors and police, this case couldn't have been brought to justice. And for the jurors who came down and answered their jury summons, thank them, because we don't make these decisions about guilt or innocence unilaterally.
It's because it's not fair to us. Like, how does 2 juries not hear that? I mean, how do 3 juries not hear that my father was receiving death threats? That's something that should be disclosed. That's something that should have been investigated, because if that investigation happens, who knows what information comes out that
Antonio Armstrong Sr. and his wife Dawn were murdered here in their home almost exactly 2 years ago. Their 18-year-old son is scheduled to stand trial for their murders next month, but his attorneys are asking to have those charges thrown out, arguing that the prosecution withheld important evidence. That evidence, they say, includes a taped interview with a woman named Maxine Adams, who allegedly told Houston police in December 2016 that Armstrong's father was involved in a prostitution ring. She provided them with thousands of phone records. Houston police talked to her and determined the allegations were unfounded.
Prior to A.J. Armstrong's first capital murder trial in 2019 for the double homicide of his parents, Dawn and Antonio Sr., on the fateful night of July 29, 2016, there was a witness who spoke out on his behalf, sharing detailed information about a possible ladies of the night ring involving his father, Antonio Sr.
Do you think that the Maxine was right in saying that your dad was a part of a prostitution ring?
I can't say whether I think she was right or not, because I honestly don't know. Like, I hold my dad in such high regard that I would need some, okay, this has been investigated, AJ, this is what we found, this is what we know, your dad did X, Y, Z, for me to be like, okay, he was a part of something like that. But it was never investigated. They just threw it under the rug like it doesn't matter, so.
It's documented that the witness, Maxine Adams, was in steady contact with Houston Police Department from 2016 through 2018. This is never before seen or heard legal documents that weren't heard by the jurors in A.J. Armstrong's trials. Now, this case has received worldwide attention and has been covered by major news outlets such as 2020, who covered this story twice. This video will provide the information that they can't cover, aka the truth. Hello and welcome back to Who Am I to Judge, where we've been deep diving this mysterious case of Antonio Armstrong Jr. If you're new to this channel, take a moment to subscribe, like, and share with all your little nosy friends who enjoy a scandalous deep dive. And welcome back to my returning subscribers, and happy holidays. Everything in this video is alleged and considered hearsay until proven in a court of law. My opinions may favor the defense, prosecution team, or family, but my ultimate goal is to be completely unbiased, and I ask the viewers to do the same. Respectfully, we can all agree to disagree, please and thank you. Viewer discretion is advised. On July 29, 2016, A.J. Armstrong's parents, Dawn and Antonio Sr., were shot execution style as they slept in their Bellaire, Texas townhome, located in a quiet, family-oriented suburb of Houston, Texas. Although this case broke 8 years ago, friends and family are still seeking closure as they feel the convicted A.J. Armstrong isn't responsible for his parents' death. This scandalous hot topic has been covered by major news outlets, and it has plenty of opinions. So much so that I personally was ready to abandon this case because of the negativity around it, but somehow I got drawn back in. Go figure. Maxine Adams' name has been dropped on numerous occasions, and if you're still wondering her role in the A.J. Armstrong trial, I got you covered, with the only deep dive that'll expose all the information. And honey, when I say all the information, yeah, I got you covered. I'll be exposing her involvement, her own legal troubles, and why all of a sudden she just mysteriously stopped speaking on the case, claiming that she forgot what happened. Now, sis, this is just my personal opinion. You say you forgot, but at the same time, I'm like, really, sis? How could you forget about a whole prostitution ring that your husband was involved in? Sis, the math ain't mathin'. This ain't like, oh, I just went to the little grocery store and I just picked up little eggs and milk. This is a whole thought and bop scheme your husband was involved in. Sis, I digress. Who am I to judge? Let's start at the beginning. Maxine's ex-husband, Cecil Adams, and Antonio Sr. were childhood friends. They both played football at Cashmere High School, located in Cashmere Gardens, Texas, and the two remained close friends as adults. Maxine Adams claimed that the two friends were partners in crime in December 2016, claiming the two conspired in an illegal thought and bop operation. Thought and bop, again, is going to be that. We're just going to be YouTube friendly, okay? So
There's the allegation that your dad was involved in something.
I heard those things for the first time in trial. That was nothing that, obviously I'm a 16-year-old kid. I was not aware of anything like that.
Maxine Adams claimed the Thought and Bop scheme was a family operation and also included her ex-husband's sister, who provided the thoughts to Bop, while Antonio Sr. allegedly used his Bellaire, Texas gym, first-class training gym, as the spot that housed the records for the Thought and Bop interactions. Maxine claims she grew suspicious of her husband's involvement and hired a private investigator after Antonio Sr.'s death in 2016. This is the actual audio of Adams' interview with Houston Police Department.
There was a family prostitution ring that my husband, my sister-in-law, Antonio, and another individual were all involved in during this time. And so I didn't know, like the call records are all like crazy. The one woman that was with Antonio has contact. I don't know if it's the pimp or whatnot, but I just felt like I don't know if y'all knew that or were aware of the prostitution thing.
So you think this is related to the homicide, or do you think it's just two independent things?
I think it's related because the way, like, the money involved and there was a thing about keeping quiet, and so it was right before, like, they had the death threats and they had changed their life insurance, like they were doing all of these things.
Now, quiet as is kept, the Armstrongs' housekeeper allegedly made the same claims as Adams, but her statements were never followed up on by the Houston Police Department.
What type of testimony would the maid have given?
The maid had evidence on she knew the gun had been moved. She knew the gun was in a different place. She knew some things that was going on prior to that week where somebody showed up at the house. Somebody showed up at the house that they didn't have a clue who he was and was banging on the door. She has evidence like that of different people coming back and forth. Conversation that she heard Antonio having with people that seemed to be after him. And so, but they wouldn't allow none of that to be said.
And before y'all start, I heard the same from two separate sources, not one. So I believe this does have credibility. But again, who am I to judge?
There's a few things that the death threats, that was never brought into any trial. Why was it not allowed to be heard that my father was receiving death threats? Why is that something that had to be kept out? The DA felt it was irrelevant, but to us it was very relevant. My father was receiving death threat. That was known information that was given to the police and the DA's office. And when they got that information, instead of investigating it, they were sending messages back and forth to each other about, hey, should we put it under a different case number?
Now, based on my research, the parties were involved in communication for over 5 months. However, it took A.J. Armstrong's defense team 18 months before they got their hands on this information. Okay, right? So you guys are going to be seeing a lot more in my face. And why? Because I had my last AJ, well, my very first AJ, I should say, video completely stolen. Hi, sir. Do your own damn homework. This is why I tag my stuff up the way that I do, with like my name all over the place and everything else that I do, because bigger YouTubers will go and steal smaller YouTubers information and act like they came up with the whole story. So now from here on in, you're going to be seeing a lot more of my face, and I'm going to be reading my documents as opposed to posting them, and you won't be stealing from me anymore. Sorry, not sorry. Now let's go to the text messages, emails, and all that important information that they were sharing, they being Maxine Adams with Houston Police Department, and why that information was probably important. Okay. It says, just sent it. Please listen and let me know if she told you everything she told these officers. I'm concerned about what she says in the end. Okay. Hey, just listen to the audio. She went more into detail about her belief, how the thought and bop scheme and murder might be connected while talking with homicide guys than she did with me. She didn't tell me about her sister-in-law being involved in the thought and bop scheme. She really just told me how the ring works and that her husband was seeing a lot of prostitutes. Sure. Then on March 13, we have Officer Hyde, right? And he's like, the worst text message you could ever receive is, can you talk? I can't lie. Like, in relationships, that is the worst text message you could ever receive. Like, really? But okay, moving on. Sorry. Oh, dude even said, but seriously. But seriously, can you? It's about the stupid thought and bop scheme. Okay, this is on May 18th. Hello. Did she say what he did for her? What he found out? Investigated? That's my stomach. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, I'm a little hungry. My bad. The entire thing is effing annoying. She should have just stayed in her lane to begin with. She threw out all these bold statements and then has no info, nothing to show for it. It's a complete waste of everyone's time. Did she pay him? Did he give her a report? Meaning the private investigator. She said she gave him cash and didn't get much info back from him, which leads me to believe and confirm the original idea of her just trying to muddy up the waters for her divorce. And when he didn't come up with anything, that's when she threw out HT and basically used me. Tried to use me. I'm not sure what HT is. Sorry, that's what I was trying to figure out, but I can't. As her free PI, just my opinion. Okay, then he says, can you call me back in 15 minutes? Yes, thank you. Then this is the funniest shit, because this is a grown-ass man, right? He says, I'm eating with my mom, thanks. She's not answering. This is on May 22nd. She's not answering. I'll try again tomorrow. Please email me or text if you think of any more questions she needs to be asked, or write them on a napkin. This is the weird shit, right? Listen. Or write them on a napkin and wrap it around a pint, and I'll pick it up from Gorgeous Gale. Gorgeous Gale is like some little hangout that used to exist back in Houston. It's like a little bar kind of situation. So, officers, you're telling me legal documentation or things that should be considered legal documentation that are vital to somebody's case, you guys are leaving important information at Gorgeous Gale? Okay, dude says, haha, will do, but I promise I had asked about those specific comments. I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. Then it says, I believe you. I think I was driving when we last talked, and I was trying to remember what to ask without writing it down. She'll call back. She likes me. City of Houston, wake up. This is what you guys are paying for. This kind of bull malarkey. This is phones that you guys are paying for. And this is the kind of conversations they're having while they're leaving important, vital documentation at Gorgeous Gale. They're also talking about, she likes me. I'm eating with my mom. Chill. I can... And the guy responds back, I can tell. Really? Jesus, fix it. Excuse my French, but this shit is so crazy. This is grown ass men, right? Sitting up here acting like they're in high school, talking about she likes me. I'm eating with my mom. Meanwhile, this young man is on trial for a double homicide, facing life in prison, which he ultimately ended up getting. He's now eligible for parole in 40 years. But really? And this was the investigation that you guys were doing? And then lost information about 24 documents?
You know, here are all the facts. Here are all the evidence on both sides. On both sides. And they lost 22 pieces of evidence that couldn't even be shown because they lost it. Things like that just make you say, come on, guys, really?
Spring-summer 2018, Rick Detoto received an electronic zip drive containing over 50,000 correspondence, phone calls, emails, text messages between Maxine Adams and Houston law enforcement. So let's quickly recap. Maxine Adams revealed there were at least 5 people involved in the Thought and Bop scheme, including Antonio Sr. She provided names and phone numbers for all people involved. And Antonio Sr. began receiving death threats prior to his death, leading him to update his life insurance policy. Now, instead of sharing this vital information, Houston Police Department decided that they would put this important information under a different case number.
What got me all worked up is the fact that they had this information December 2016.
I'm assuming they hoped AJ's defense team would never even find out this information existed. AJ's attorney, Rick Detoto, filed an immediate motion to dismiss the case on or about July 24, 2018, claiming AJ's 6th and 14th Amendment rights to a fair trial were violated. This I'm reading from is the supplemental motion to dismiss. This is the actual court documentation that is filed somewhere in Harris County. You guys can find it if you want to, but you won't steal it because I'm going to read from it. Okay. Okay, the state of Texas first, Antonio Armstrong Jr. The Houston Police Department was in possession of Maxine Adams' audio recording, that contained exculpatory Brady and Michael Moran Act material on December 22nd, 2016, roughly less than 6 months after the murder of his parents. The audio was approximately 13 minutes long. The allegations contained in this short 13-minute audio includes statements by Maxine Adams that Antonio Armstrong Sr. was involved in a Thought and Bop scheme, that he had received death threats, and that he was considering changing his life insurance policy. The Houston Police Department was in possession of the Adams recording between December 22nd and December 29th, 2016. The Harris County District Attorney's Office was in possession and aware of the Adams recording on December 29th, 2016. Homicide Detective Dagnall said that Harris County District Attorney's Office sent Harris County District Attorney's Office an email on December 29th, 2016 with the Adams recording attached. On January 20th, 2017, Houston Police Department Officer Haidt emailed a Harris County Assistant District Attorney stating, "I've talked to the female a couple of times about the prostitution about the Thought and Bop scheme, and I'm meeting with her in about 30 minutes. I think there may be something to this, but there still needs to be a lot of digging to do. Go ahead and pursue your deal. I will open the case with a different case number." Why? Shady. But if the two cases cross paths, so be it. This is somebody's life we're playing with. So be it. Okay. The presiding judge, Kelli Johnson, gave Rick Detoto the opportunity to cross-examine Maxine Adams, who oddly either refused to speak on the situation or honestly forgot all the important facts. Before the hearing took place, Houston District Attorney's Office, led by Kim Ugg, issued the following statement. This document was submitted as a pretrial motion by the defense in preparation for the upcoming trial. We welcome the opportunity to present all the facts regarding this matter to the judge, be it in writing or at a hearing. Meanwhile, they were just trying to hide the information, but now y'all want to share it. Child, please. Okay, so what I'm currently reading from, this is the actual court transcripts, and this is September 17th, 2018. This is between Maxine Adams, Rick Detoto, and the courts. Okay. Rick Detoto says, the court is not going to allow me to play any type of audio at this point. The court says, Miss Johnson, well, Judge Johnson, says, as long as the rules of evidence allow it, so that's sustained at this point. Move along. Detoto, now, did you indicate to the Houston Police Department that you believe that Antonio Armstrong Sr. was involved in a thought and Bob scheme? Asking Maxine Adams. Maxine Adams, yes. And tell us, what you told the Houston Police Department? Well, I told them that based on my ex-husband's phone records, I believe that there was a connection, that there was some sort of potential connection. Detoto, did you tell them that your husband was involved in it? That, I believe so. Did you tell them that your sister-in-law was involved in it? That I believed was involved in it. And what is your sister-in-law's name? I'm not going to give the name, but she says the name. And did you tell them that you believe that Antonio Armstrong Sr. was involved in it? I believe that there could be a connection. Okay. And you also said that there was another individual involved in it. Who was that? I don't recall. Okay, did you tell the Houston Police Department officers that this is how it works? And did you show them? I don't recall. Okay, and what exactly did you explain to them? That I believe that there was a way for a phone call to be made, and that there would be an individual called, and then thoughts or women would appear after the main number was called. And did that involve Antonio Armstrong Sr.? In that particular interview, I don't recall stating his number as one of the numbers. When you described to the police department at this point the people involved, did you include Antonio Armstrong Sr.? I believe that he could be connected. And at that time you related it to the phone numbers, you were talking to the officers about it. Yes. Okay, right? I'm not sure exactly how you could forget such vital information. I'm not calling her a liar, but I am saying that things that are very important and significant in your life, you remember them. It could be 20 years ago. If it's something that's vital and important, such as a death and your husband being involved in a thought and Bob scheme, that's something that you're going to remember. So the fact that she's like, I don't know, I don't believe it. But that's just my opinion, and who am I to judge?
It's just like, how is at one moment you hear it, you report that you hear it, and then when it's time to testify to it, oh, I don't really remember saying that anymore. It's like, how is that? It's not really giving me a fair shake and telling the truth, because that was something they really hit at during the trial.
Okay, so now we have some more file reading. At no time did any employee of the Harris County District Attorney's Office or Houston Police Department provide the defendant a copy of the Adams recording on or before March 8th, 2017. Because the defendant was not provided a copy of the Adams recording, the defendant was denied the right to investigate the accusations made by Maxine Adams and call and or cross-examine witness regarding exculpatory Brady information contained on the Adams recording during the juvenile certification hearing that took place on March 8th, 2017. From December 22nd, 2016 to June 2018, members of the Houston Police Department had multiple conversations with Maxine Adams regarding her statements. Officer Hyde, while having multiple telephone conversations as well as in personal meetings with Maxine Adams over an 18-month period, never documented his investigation. There was a complete failure by Officer Hyde as well as Houston Police Department in the questioning of a key witness without reports, notes, or any form of recording as to what actually transpired. The only official record of this investigation was an offense report that Officer Hyde created on August 1st, 2018 from his memory. The report was only created after he was instructed to do so by Harris County District Attorney's Office. March 18, 2017, Houston Police Department Officer Height texts Harris County District Attorney stating, "Hey, this is Height/Vice. I got a text from Adams, the female that came forward to homicide, talking about X trafficking. X, you know what that means. She said she had a PI to contact her, saying he was hired by the lawyers of the murdered family and want to know why she thought there was trafficking involved and who she spoke with. She said she didn't tell him anything. Just FYI, she's pretty nervous about being contacted." March 18th, 2017, they speak again. She says, okay, well, he says, she says, okay, she told me that she didn't say anything to AJ's defense team, Rick Detoto. On or around September 17th, 2018, Maxine Adams took the stand. She stated she hired a PI to look into suspicious activity of her husband, Cecil Adams, who was involved in an alleged thought and bop scheme along with Antonio Sr. She discovered several phone numbers being passed around to summon women for their services, wink, but she couldn't recall specific details. Lead detective on the scene the night of A.J. Armstrong's arrest, Kenneth Dagnall, was also cross-examined and testified he didn't take any notes, complete an offense report, and didn't record video or audio regarding his conversations with Adams. Now, this is an actual email that was shared through law enforcement regarding this information. It was sent on January 6, 2017 at 2:26 a.m. What the hell are you guys doing? Texting people at 2:26 a.m. The whole Harris County, just throw the whole Harris County. Law enforcement, throw it away. Throw it away, child. Yes, hello, this is Sergeant Dagnall at Homicide Division. I'm working on a murder of Antonio Armstrong Sr. and Dawn Armstrong. They were shot by their son, Antonio Armstrong Jr. First of all, red flag. He wasn't even convicted at this time. What do you mean? They were shot. That's not fair. You're supposed to give them a fair trial. You're innocent until proven guilty. You obviously already made him guilty just in that statement alone. But moving on. While they were sleeping, on December 22nd, 2016, Maxine Adams, whose boyfriend was best friends with Antonio Armstrong Sr., walked into Travis and spoke with two investigators from our major assaults unit. This is just how much homework they didn't do. That was her husband. They just put that it was her boyfriend. Moving on. I contacted ADA, John Brewer. I know he was the first prosecution, the first lawyer on the first trial, AJ. Okay, I contacted ADA, John Brewer, and forwarded the audio recording, and he asked me to get in contact with Vice to investigate or look into these allegations. He has requested the assigned investigator to give him a call at Juvenile Division. This is when AJ was still in juvenile. Phone number there, but I'm not going to read that, but as soon as possible. Below is the original email along with Maxine Adams' phone number I received. The audio file is attached to this email also. My master case number for the capital murder is, I'm not reading. When speaking with ADA, I hear something outside. Okay, that's the car cranking. When speaking with ADA, they can ask if he wants everything documented under a new case number and linked to this case, or does he just want a totally different case number altogether, long story short. My cell phone is da-da-da-da-da, and my personal cell is da-da-da-da-da. If there are any questions for me, I work nights, so if I don't answer, leave a message or send a text, and I'll call you back. Thank you.
Why are you trying to put it under a different case number? Why are you trying to do something different than investigating? Why wasn't it investigated? Because it didn't fit the narrative that they felt 11 minutes in, like the officer testified to. They made that decision and nothing was gonna change their mind, no matter what they had. So the fact that my father was receiving death threats made no difference to them. They just brushed it to the side like, oh, okay.
The state admitted that they'd been aware of the Maxine Adams interview, and it was, in fact, not turned over for 18 months. but they argued that the remedy should be just more time for the defense to investigate.
Judge Kelli Johnson says, I want to hear more about this. She decides there needs to be a hearing. Maxine Adams comes to court. She testifies.
For the first time, we're hearing from Maxine Adams, who claims Antonio Armstrong Sr. was involved in a prostitution ring.
Everything was looked into, and ultimately it was determined that none of it was relevant in this case.
Judge Johnson says, no, this isn't credible, and she decides this trial will move forward, and AJ prepares for the fight of his life.
Once the hearing concluded, Judge Kelli Johnson decided to not dismiss the capital murder trial. However, she did offer an extension for the discovery and fact-finding period. AJ's first trial began in March 2019, but prior to the trial starting, yet another odd occurrence would take place.
They did some unethical stuff, the prosecution, and the judge not allowing a lot of the evidence in. I mean, the video, the Maxine Adams testimony. I mean, her and her husband was partners with Antonio. Her husband, Antonio, was in partners. They was in business together. They claimed that they had a prostitution ring. But both of these young men ended up dead within 2 years. But they didn't allow that to be presented. I mean, you got two people in business together that comes up dead within 2 years. But
how did Mr. Adams die?
It was a car accident. I heard a hit and run. The killer was never found, okay?
Now, a little background on Maxine and her husband. Maxine and her husband, Cecil, were involved in a bitter, intense divorce and battling over assets as well as custody of the kids. Maxine Adams filed for a divorce in or around January 2017, which was immediately after making claims to the Houston Police Department about the illegal thought and bop scheme. Before AJ Armstrong's first trial began, Cecil Adams, Maxine's ex-husband, was murdered in a hit-and-run car accident. The suspects were never found. Me personally, I'd be surprised if they even investigated the information. But again, who am I to judge?
Really? Even a testimony, you got two guys that show up, that comes up dead within 2 years. Two business partners. I mean, come on. I mean, shouldn't you at least investigate? Shouldn't you at least be curious? But they had their mind set that AJ did it from the night they walked into that house.
Now, for my returning subscribers, I'm sure you guys remember another potential witness who could have corroborated AJ's story, cousin Trenton Teamer, was also involved in a car accident resulting in his death prior to AJ's second trial beginning.
People will say, if you didn't kill your parents, then who did? Do you have an idea who might have?
I feel that answer probably lied within those death threats that my father was receiving. And whatever was going on, the answer was probably behind that door, but the DA shut it. To this day, I don't understand how they did that. Like I was saying earlier, how are you, when we found out and we went before the judge and she said they had to come off of their messages and things like that, how are you guys messaging back and forth about hiding this? Like, you didn't want this to come out. You didn't tell us till much later. So it's like, you knew something was there, but you chose to ignore it, essentially. You chose to not tell the public. You chose to not bring this before a jury. And they fought before every single trial. That was something that came up about how they did not want that to come in because they felt it wasn't relevant. I don't understand to this day how it's not relevant that my father was receiving death threats. Why can't a jury hear that? And better yet, why was it never investigated? I just feel that shows even more they made up their mind and they refused to change their mind.
Now, honestly, knowing all this information, and if you are new to this channel, please go and check out the AJ Armstrong Reasonable Doubt playlist. But just knowing the information that I put together so far, I'm wondering, seriously, are there any more lost files and case numbers with hidden documents? Who knows? All I'm saying is, I personally think that they should have just been fair about everything. I'm not saying he's innocent because I don't think he's innocent, and I'm not saying he's guilty because I don't think he's guilty. I think reasonable doubt, and the reason why I think reasonable doubt is because of all the information that was lost. 24 documents completely lost. Vital information hiding under different case numbers. once again, that's just a little bit of, but do you guys not see that this is a problem? This is a man's freedom that you guys took from him. And all this information, it's public if you go and you search for it. But this isn't information that was shared with the jurors. Like, why? Why would such vital information be hidden? It could have possibly proven reasonable doubt, which is what I think once I look at all this documentation. Again, who am I to judge? I'm just laying out all the facts for you guys. You do your own homework and you come up with your own decisions. And with that being said, thank you for watching. This is not the end. This is just the mid, because we have a lot more documentation that we will be covering. Yeah, Houston, I'm on to y'all. I got all the documents. I'm just saying. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share with all your little nosy friends who enjoy an investigative deep dive. And until next time, bye.
We're not going to stop fighting. You know, like I said earlier, this isn't how this story ends.